Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.
So welcome everybody to the Just Transition Investors Alliance launch panel. I think many of us have already experienced lots and lots of calls about the important role of partnerships, the important role of the public sector, the important role of the private sector in delivering and effecting a just transition. I think one of the key things that we are learning more and more about as we continue to talk about scale, and we are dependent on doing things at speed, given 2030 is just around the corner, is the fact that we need to begin to also sort of collapse our vertical view on life and perhaps act a bit more horizontally as an ecosystem. So that's really what we are looking at and what we're doing here as part of the Just Transition Investors Alliance as a platform and as a commitment towards, you know, people, they ask, the just transition, if you look at it from an investor's perspective, you can probably talk about it from a very macro viewpoint. But then someone once said to me, let me take you to a mining town and show you just transition as opposed to talking about it from 1,000 feet. And it really does give a very different perspective when you know that these discussions that we're having here about phasing down, phasing out different highly carbon intensive industries is really the difference between life and death of people in certain jurisdictions and communities. So there's a lot that we can do about that through trade, through procurement, through working together and through collaboration, and that's really the ethos of the Just Transition Investors Alliance. It's investors coming together and saying, you know, as universals of the market, there's a lot that we can do with our procurement power, with our market access, with our global mandates. Welcome, Jingdong. With our global mandates and all of these things. And that's really what we're doing. And again, what is innovation? It's sort of taking what's already out there in the market and perhaps just seeking to do it slightly differently or improve upon it. So the Just Transition Investors Alliance is essentially probably a little piece of Secretary Kerry and the US State Department's First Movers Coalition, probably and combined with a little bit of the Clean Energy Buyers Alliance, where you're actually lining up the buy side. You're giving that market signal, you're giving that market confidence against which investors can actually deploy capital. And in our case, what we are saying as the Just Transition Investors Alliance is that let's focus on the place-based impact investing model, where we can very specific geographies and jurisdictions and have a strategy on an ecosystem basis. The local municipal pension fund, the local university endowment, the local government budgets, the national government budgets, the national institutional investors, and importantly, the actual companies themselves that are affecting the just transition plans within their own institutions. And that's where we are looking for this virtuous circle of impact and this virtuous circle of return. So that's really the focus of the Just Transition Investors Alliance.
Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.